Hi guys, and happy Tuesday. I hope you had a marvelous long weekend. I know I did. And that we're all staying nice and cool because it's ridiculous temperature outside. Canada is nothing if not extreme. I just wanted to give you a couple of tips on keeping your animals cool during the rest of the heat wave. I don't think it's going below 30 until Friday, so definitely keep an eye on them because it's not safe outside for them. The first and most obvious tip is do not leave them in a hot car. I shouldn't have to explain this. There's a vet that did a video about him sitting in a hot car measuring the temperature inside, and it did not bode well for him. But if you can't take your pet with you, leave them in the air conditioning at home. Unless you're going to the cottage, take lots of breaks in the car, and I did a video last week about pet car travel, so you can check that out. But don't leave them in a car, even if it's for 2 minutes. Do not leave them in the car, because at this temperature, it starts to get unsafe within about a minute or two, because the temperature rises so fast. Second, make sure you're somewhere with lots of shade and cool water. They shouldn't be walking on cement for too long on sidewalks because it can actually burn the pads of their feet at this temperature. And if they don't like to swim, make sure you carry water with you when you take them out. If you're taking them for a walk, make sure it's short, but do carry extra water with you. They sell collapsible portable water bowls at most pet stores. You can get one. I have a fanny pack and Kaya's portable water bottle bowl in my car, and I clip it to my fanny pack when I take her out. You can make frozen treats. Most of them are really easy and quite tasty. You can melt coconut oil and put them in ice cube molds, the ones that are shaped like little bones. You can do regular ice cubes, but I would only fill them about half because otherwise the treats get too big. Coconut oil with blueberries. You can do Greek yogurt and turmeric or other berries. You can do chicken broth and things like that. There's all kinds of stuff you can add, but do try to keep them cool and hydrated. Sometimes they don't want to drink as much water in this temperature, but make sure it's always available to them if they do want it. You can actually buy cooling mats, and they're probably about the size of a dog bed, depending on the size of your dog or cat. And you plug them in, and it actually keeps them cool, which is quite impressive. They have the heat ones too for the winter when it's really cold. They have heated mats that you can get, but also try not to burn them, because if you turn them too high, you can actually hurt their bellies. If you have a pool, keep them safe. They can cut the lining with their nails if they are in there. Or ponds, even just to bring their body temperature down. For those who don't know, dogs can only sweat through the pads of their feet. So if their feet is on burning concrete or stone, then they cannot sweat. So if you have a shaded area in your backyard near a pool, put a towel down and they can lay on that to protect themselves from that. If you are planning on exercising them, do it in the early morning, ideally before the sun is up, because it's already like 28 degrees just from the time it is now. Or in the evening when the sun goes down. There are a lot of bugs out right now, so do remember some bug spray. Brachycephalic breeds, which are the breeds with the really short noses, like French bulldogs, Siamese, or not Siamese. There's a breed of cat, I remember. Guinea pigs, stuff like that. They are more prone to heat stroke because of the shortness of their external respiratory area. So do make sure to keep them nice and cool. Thank you for the like. This one's another one I probably shouldn't have to tell you. Do not shave your animals. Now, I know it sounds like it's going to help, but they actually use that coat to insulate themselves against the heat. So the same way that in the winter they use it to keep themselves warm and keep the heat in, in the summer, they use it to keep the heat out. So by shaving them, they're actually more likely to get heat stroke, which seems counterintuitive to a lot of people. If you are leaving your pet at home, make sure there's one room that's very cool. Maybe draw the windows and make sure that the AC is on. They have somewhere kind of cozy to nest. There's lots of indoor activities you can do with your pets if they are not outdoor dogs. Kaya is not that fond of this temperature. Anything above about 25. She's not particular to, but she will lay in the shade outside. Indoor activities, you can get one of those puzzle treat balls. You can play with them. You can chase them around. You can play fetch, that kind of thing, depending on the size of your animal, of course. Pale-skinned pets, so white-skinned pets, horses with light-colored hair, they can actually get sunburnt, so do be careful of that. They have all-natural sunscreen and stuff like that for animals, but be careful because if they get burnt, it's going to be really, really painful for them, especially if they're in continued exposure after that. It's quite painful. If you have horses, you can hose them down or make sure that they have extra water in their water trough, that kind of thing. Actually, I read something yesterday for smaller pets like guinea pigs, hamsters, that kind of thing. You can fill a water bottle full of water, not all the way, and then freeze it. Wrap it in a hand towel and stick it in one end of their pen, so that way they can adjust their body temperature. If they're too hot, they can go closer to it, and if they're cool, then they move away from it, that kind of thing. But those are all of the tips that I have. Kaya's not a big swimmer. She doesn't like me trying to cool her off with water. She'll walk in a pond and then lower herself in a little bit, and then that's as far as she goes. But her favorite spot to lay is downstairs because it's much colder downstairs, in front of the not working fireplace that's downstairs. But do try and keep them cool. It's going to be quite a few more days, and I know a lot of you guys were away for the long weekend, which is lovely, and they had fun at the cottage or wherever you went, but do make sure to check in on them. Especially if you weren't with your pet for the long weekend, that's always something good to check. But I hope you have a lovely week back and you didn't go too crazy on the long weekend, otherwise today is going to feel like a really long day. But enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you next week.